Good morning, everybody. Welcome once again to BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Matthew, a big day for me today.
Why? Because you're watching the college bracket and we find out who goes to the Classic?
No.
Oh.
No. Not at all. Today is my first day in the classroom trying to shape the minds of today's youth.
You're going to get a lot of respect with that, with that hair.
I can't wear a hat, man. Can't wear a hat.
You got to get some, I don't feel like pomade is. I feel like you need a little bit of spray. You got a little bit of poof going on in the front
I'll
there.
get that all taken care of before I get to class.
You need an authoritative figure there.
But 6th and 7th hour today, I will be able to wear a hat. I just can't wear a hat for one class.
What are you teaching?
I am teaching finance/economics, and I am teaching a media class.
Like every day?
Every day.
It's starting at what time?
I think my first class is like 1 o'clock.
Oh, so it's not like you're not a full-time teacher there.
I'm part-time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a part-time gig.
Is this something that they have to take, or are you in a school
they're
where you can?
electives.
They have electives in high school.
Yeah, dude, my finance/economics class is jam-packed, maxed out, 28 students.
Really?
Yeah, and in the media class, we're only going to have 12 people, and both of those classes are maxed out too. So I spent the last couple of days.
Word is out that you're an easy A.
I spent the last couple of days decorating the room. I actually set up a studio.
Can you get some pictures in so we can see that on?
But do you know what's missing? Did you notice what's missing from the BTL
the hell did you do with Kevin Van Dam?
Kevin Van Dam is in the classroom now.
You can't take Kevin Van Dam out of the studio. You left Kelly Jordan.
Kevin Van Dam is in the classroom
Larry Nixon
now.
and Skeet and McClellan.
So
why is he in the classroom?
Because it's part of the media. It's part of the media class.
Oh, because you took that photo?
Yeah, I'm just trying to dress it up. I mean, I've got Kevin Van Dam, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird. All right, and who else do I have in there? Oh, Bobby Orr.
That's not bad. The great number 4, Bobby Orr. Did you really?
Oh, sorry, man. Didn't mean to do that.
Good thing we've only been doing this for 11 years.
Well, I
better make sure mine's on silent before I go. So it's all upper like seniors and stuff? Juniors,
sophomores.
Sophomores,
juniors, and seniors.
and then you're coaching again.
Yeah.
Why do you continue to put yourself through the torture
I'm an
of
assistant,
coaching?
dude.
You were okay.
I'm an assistant. I'm not making the decisions. I'm just there to support and create better skill level. Kind of like what I do with you.
You think the over-under is that you get kicked out of a game this year?
Zero,
it's
dude.
not 0.
I'm not. I am just an assistant coach. Assistant coaches do not get kicked out. Now, I am the head coach.
Yeah, but what if
for
you had
JV
to do
and freshman?
Okay, so you will get kicked out of a game this year.
I will not.
At some point
turned over
year,
a new leaf, dude.
No, at some point this year, you will get kicked out of a game.
How many weeks has it been since I've gotten pissed off at you?
I don't know.
It's been a few weeks, hasn't it?
Sure. Well, I haven't seen you for a few weeks. So.
It's been a few weeks.
Yeah, we made it through a couple days at the Cup. You even bought me. You bought me multiple beers and nachos at the Forest Wood Cup. Oh, speaking of which, I have your goodie bag from FLW.
Oh, okay, cool. I forgot to get the goodie bag. So, good show today. We're going to have James Niggemeyer on, talk about his second place finish at the Cup. But the man that got it done had one ginormous day.
Clint Davis hung around and on day 2 caught a fish right at the end, I think on a Ned rig, he said, that barely got him in like by an ounce over Matt Becker, I think, into the top 10. So they did the 3 days. You know, we talked about how the 3 days definitely had an impact in this one.
Oh, yeah.
So he had like 9 pounds, and then goes out and catches 17-13 on the final day.
Which is ginormous.
Jumps from 10th to 1st and wins like going away. They, you know, we're right there at the weigh-in.
No mystery.
And, you know, they weigh in 10, 9, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
And he weighs in 17-13, and the rest of it's just, you know, Chris Jones is up there going, these two bass need to weigh 16-11. You're just like,
not going to happen.
Not going to happen, so...
All right.
Congratulations
on
to him.
On a Mr. Twister.
Yeah, his key bait was a Mr. Twister with, like, you know, the that Zoom speed worm that all the guys like to reel across. It's got that tail on it. Yeah. It's 12 inches, and then he threw it on a swing head, like a biffle style head. And the reasoning, and I was telling you this before, and I was reading this was, I thought was pretty interesting, was he's a brush pile guy, and when you have just a bullet weight that directly goes down to your worm, you got to get it stuck in the brush and pull it, and it will actually push your worm down the shank of your hook and expose the hook, and you get hung. On a biffle head or a swing head.
It will not do that.
A swing head, even though you're fishing it in the brush, it's fixed. There's the eye is fixed to that head, so no matter how much pressure you put on the head of the bait, it will not affect how your worm is rigged. So FLW had a really good article too about how he approached the brush piles. He said he's a brush pile guy. He fished the Cup here in before, I think in 15. And said, I know how I'm going to win it. And I mean, it's not like everybody else didn't have that too, but he came out, put in 4 days of work, just graphing, and actually ran across the right brush pile at the right time. I talked to a number of other guys afterwards. Well deserved. They said, listen, it wasn't like you could go out and hit every brush pile. You had to figure out the right part of the lake, the right depth they were in, and then you had to hit it at the right time too, and then catch them, take advantage of them.
So did luck play into it?
For the majority of the field, it'll be interesting to see what Mr. Niggemeyer says, because he burned the bank every single day of the tournament. I asked those guys, knowing that you would ask me in BTL, and they said, absolutely, you can put yourself in the right position and cover water, and there is skill in figuring that out, but it is luck as to whether you go down a bank and a 4-pounder's up chasing a brim, or whether 5 minutes after you leave, that 4-pounder is catchable.
So is Mr. Davis going to be the favorite going into next year? They made the announcement they're coming back again, 2019, back to Hot Springs.
He would have to be, and if he wins, he'll go over $1 million, believe it or not. He fished the FLW2 for a while, fished for Montevallo. Then he went to the Elite Series for 2 years, so he's got over $80,000 of earnings with bass. And he's a guy in his I think late 20s, and he's got 80,000. He's got 700,000 now with FLW, so he's over $750,000 in career earnings, which is really solid.
Yeah. I must say this, the venue at Hot Springs and the staff of FLW, the support that they give, top notch, first class. You could not ask for a better venue to have a major event like the Cup, and then the support that Joe and everybody else involved with FLW gave the media there. I can't say enough how good it was. It was awesome.
Yes, it was.
They did a great job, and the venue there, I was actually on, and so were you, on Pat Renwick's show. They were broadcasting live from there, and we had quite the discussion about the venue, and it would be cool if you could actually take that venue or duplicate that venue across the country, because the arena just big enough.
Perfect size.
Big enough to where when you have a nice crowd, in fact, on the final day, they were busting at the seams.
They had to open up. Granted, they had a concert, but I went into the arena, was trying to get into the arena halfway through the concert, and they were 50 to 100 deep trying to get into the arena, and they'd closed it off. It was at capacity. And it stayed at capacity for the duration of the weigh, and they actually opened up 2 auxiliary rooms, put big screens in, and let everybody watch them. So I think it holds a little over 6,000 people there. And it was loud. It was cool. I mean, I actually got a couple pieces of confetti that had fallen on the ground from Clint Davis's victory. So
all right, so we're going to try and get him on here in a week or two. Scheduling, all that. It's kind of chaotic right now, so we're going to do everything we can to get him on for a few minutes
before he gets in the deer stand. Because remember, he doesn't.
That's a fumble right there.
Yeah, drop the pen, but
that's a fumble. All right, man, I got to ask you this question. I must admit, I was a little nervous, just a little nervous going into this thing, especially after day one. Did Sheldon Collins have a successful season?
I still think he did. Not as successful as it could have been. It was not a tank by any means, but he was in the mix after the first day of the Forest Wood Cup. For a 20-year-old to be in the mix there, he did cash 2 checks at the end of the year, barely missed the Rookie of the Year and double qualifying for the Cup. I think he gained some valuable experience, proved to himself that he can compete at this level and is spades above anyone else that's his age in this game. So, I mean, yes, if you're strictly looking at it from a monetary value, the guy made $30,000. But just fishing the tour. 10,000 at the Cup, and then he might have made 15, but I think 10 at the Cup, and then 20 for the regular season events.
Not counting his Costa stuff.
Yeah.
All right, this is just pure tour earnings.
But I mean, if you're looking at it, if you're looking at it purely objectively, you got to say no.
I think from an experience standpoint, his sophomore season is going to be good. It's going to really be the tail of the tape. Because if he can take what experience he gained from this year and turn it into a monetary gain from an earnings standpoint, and who knows, man, he may capture some hardware next year. If he does, great. But I'm still saying, as of right now, there is still room to be successful.
I'm right, and I'm actually pulling up the results here for the Forest Wood Cup, and it was amazing. You look at the top 10, and James, who we'll have on after the day, he goes, "Man, I'm the old man of this group."
Yeah, he's
been, and James is in his 40s.
Yeah.
But you look at the guys who finished, you have Clint Davis and Justin Atkins and Zach Burge, Wes Logan, who was leading it after day 2. He's like 23, 24 years old. Brandon Cobb, Bradford Beavers.
Oh, by the way, there were a lot of Davises in the building.
Yeah. Yeah,
including Mark Davis.
I mean, this will tell you how tough this tournament was. I mean, Alex Davis leads the thing on the first day with 13 and change, catches a big one on his last cast, and then doesn't even make the top 10.
Yeah.
And then that kid, Wes Logan, who was leading it after day 2, comes in with 1 on the final day. And then you have Clint Davis going 9, 9, 17. That's what I'm saying. It's just the second year of the 3 days for the Cup. Imagine, if you had a 4th day, Clint goes out with a 6-pound lead, but there's absolutely no guarantee that he even catches a fish.
There was a lot of speculation, and some of the people that I had conversations with while I was there, where the Cup was going to be in 2019. And a lot of speculation for Detroit.
Yeah.
All right. It's St. Clair. Can you imagine what that would have been like in August on St. Clair? But obviously it didn't happen.
But 7 years to broken every record, been 75 pounds to win the Cup.
There was a lot of support. There was a lot of intrigue, a lot of interest in some of the sponsors that I spoke with to get the Cup up north. I just don't know if they would draw the crowds. Obviously, that they draw it.
I would love to see, Champlain. I
think Detroit would have been lights out. I think a lot of, and I'm not talking from a fan perspective. I'm
just from a fishing perspective. Logistically, you cannot get anywhere better than Hot Springs, though.
I agree.
I mean, I was
except getting there, it's kind of the windy.
I was telling
this thing going on trying to get there.
Dano from Advanced Angler.
Yeah.
I said, I got to be honest with you. I mean, if we're going to cover this thing, I really don't care if they catch a 12-incher. I mean, you could have, 54 zeros and 2 guys catch a 12-incher. It does. Our job is the same, and the way this setup is.
It's the best championship venue to cover a championship event.
And it's a good lake, too. I mean, it's got them in it. It's just hard to catch them, especially when they're on that tiny bait.
Tough, yeah. You're, and we're not going to get into it because, number one, we don't have time, but your little edge, your advantage that we had multiple discussions about prior to the event just didn't play out, did it?
No, it did.
What?
It played a little bit. There's a guy in the top 5 who utilized it big time, and a couple guys in the top 20. But as much as I thought it would, no, it did not.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that in upcoming shows. Now, Matthew, I do want to say this, and this is all I'm going to say on this. And if you want to add anything before we take a break and get James on, you can. There is a lot of the word speculation about some things that are taking place in this game. What I'm going to say about it is nothing. Zero. The things that are being speculated about, I'm not really going to comment on it. I guess the only thing that I will say is if things develop and things do come to fruition that a lot of speculations about, this could be the turning point of the game. Do you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. And people who are message board readers and
don't be messing those up,
in
man.
the know with that, know what you're talking about. You just confused a whole bunch of other people.
Yeah, that's fine. But I think within 7 to 10 days, we're going to be able to.
Oh, that soon?
I do. I think between 7 to 10 days, we're going to be able to dive into it very
BTL
deep.
will be.
Oh, we're going to have so much to talk about, my friend.
Have a lot of material.
A ton of material. What is that right there?
What is that? It's not a floppy disk. What is it called? A mini floppy?
I don't know.
I'm holding it. It looks, it's half the size of a floppy disk.
3 1/4, I think is what they used to call them. 3 1/4.
It's all it says on it is Byron at Lake Mead.
Yeah, that is.
You found a grocery bag of these.
Yeah, dude, there is some vintage stuff on there. That one is actually the first time that I went on Lake Mead with Byron, and he taught me how to drop shot.
And you put it on video.
Yeah.
He was at the Cup.
I saw him.
He accidentally called it Bass Live instead of FLW Live.
Yeah, that was a big faux pas right there.
Chris Jones made up for it because he said FLW Live about 9 million times immediately after that happened.
That's one of the worst gaffes ever.
But he was good. It was good to see him. He looked like he was good. He had his daughter there, and they were enjoying the show, and he was there to fire him up. So
yeah,
good to see him.
I mentioned Mark Davis.
Mark Davis was there. I talked to Mark Davis.
He's getting back to his game performance from a physical standpoint.
Mm-hmm. Looked good.
Did, and seems to be fired up about getting back into the game. So we'll see.
I saw Jimmy Houston there.
Yeah, I saw him.
Doing seminars and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? Was it
Larry
else?
Nixon.
Yeah.
I happened to get there when they had their dinner, so I saw a lot of guys that were actually all spiffed up in their Sunday best.
Oh, you got there for the red carpet?
Yeah. I just kind of sat back and watched. It was quite entertaining.
I feel like the FLW Cup guys take the red carpet more seriously than the Bass guys. Remember, they had like we had guys with bedazzled jeans and like crystal crosses on the back of their jackets and stuff, and just straight khakis for the classic. The classic used to be black tie.
Yes.
Not anymore. Now I think FLW Cup takes the cake for the best dress for the anglers.
You're probably right. You're probably right on that.
Get James on?
Yeah, we're going to take a break and come back with the man that finished second place at the Cup this year. Get his take on a lot of stuff.
Covered $100,000 this year in earnings in his first year on tour. Between the year and then the
former Elite Series guy.
Cup.
And we'll talk a little bit about how he had success on Lake Ouachita. Everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The most versatile fishing machine on Earth. Unparalleled resolution and clarity, with more agility, lightning speed, and brute strength. HDS Carbon takes rapid response performance and screen technology to an all-new level. Maximized power, maximized visibility. See Structure Scan 3D, new dual chirp sonar, new live network sonar, and more mapping options, all at the same time and faster than ever before.
Pros depend on hydraulic jack plates to get the best out of their boats. Do what they do. Demand Atlas performance. Atlas gets you from the bottom to the top in less than 8 seconds, even with the big 4 strokes. And when you gotta turn right around and get that heavy load back up in rough water, Atlas's innovative design and American-made components will get you there with confidence.
On just about every professional's boat.
The Atlas hydraulic jack plate. You can depend on it.
My rods look different because they are different. Every rod is built by the pros and for the pros. When you pick up a white Duckett fishing rod, you're getting a cutting-edge rod, one that's truly pro-driven, with the actions you need for every bait category you fish. I put my name on it. It's my promise to build you a great rod you can count on.
Duckett Fishing, Micro Magic, Macro Magic, or White Ice.
Try them, they work.
Fishing just got easier, and it didn't cost you a thing. Free feature upgrades from Lowrance. Fish Reveal delivers the best of chirp sonar and downscan imaging, all on one screen, and it's going to help you find more fish. High visibility color sonar take high contrast imaging to a whole new level. It delivers the absolute best views of structure. Fish like to hide there, but their hiding days are over. These features are ready to roll when you are. Just upgrade your HDS Carbon software.
Hey guys, Russ Lane, Bassmaster Elite Series Pro. Man, I am so excited to be joining the AFCO Pro staff. They got some really cool, innovative products to help you have a more enjoyable, comfortable day while you're out there on the water. Really stylish, great functional clothing. You're gonna love it. The thing I'm most excited about though is AFCO has pledged to donate 10% of their total profits back to supporting the conservation of our fisheries. And I am all about supporting a company that's about supporting conservation so that we can enjoy our bass fishing for a long time. Check us out, AFCO.
Jacob Wheeler and Tommy Biffle have a lot in common.
Flat bill.
The perfect shape.
You gotta love some light tackle.
I know I have a spinning rod.
I love my hammer crawl.
Biffle bug.
Rigged
on a hardhead.
Well, they could be twins. Bifflebug, hammer crawl, hardhead, from Gene LaRue.
Let me help you, man.
Let me help that hat. Whoa, whoa. There you go. I already look better.
When I talk about Sunline, I think of one word: confidence.
Sunline FX2 is what I use for all of my frogging and flipping.
S61 braid, which braid plays a big part in fishing line.
Shooter, I'm going to use in those close quarter deals like flipping and pitching.
One of my favorite techniques in fishing the tournament trail is to fish offshore ledges.
We have taken the questions out of the equation.
Take my word for it. It works. It works, dude.
All right, we are back on a Thursday. Mark and Matt in studio. And dude, you just gave me some devastating news. I am sad. When did that happen this morning?
This morning.
Jeez.
Look, we got James pulled up on Skype, and now he's, oh gosh, what just happened?
I had no idea. I knew, obviously, she was old. We're talking about the passing of Aretha Franklin. And, man, that's terrible. Do you know any Aretha Franklin songs whatsoever?
I know that she had some golden vocal cords, the golden pipes.
Yeah.
Did she sing R-E-S-P-E-C-T?
Yeah. Did you ever see the movie The Blues Brothers? She was in that.
Is that the guys
too.
with the suits with the... Yeah.
John Belushi.
Yeah.
She was the wife of the guy that, I think he played the saxophone or the trombone or trumpet or something. Anyway, worked at the diner.
I mean, I don't have the movie memorized like you apparently do, but
I've only seen it 30,000 times. So, man, terrible news on that.
Yeah.
If it wasn't a copyright violation, I'd cue up some Aretha Franklin.
You can play, what, 5 seconds of it?
I don't know. I mean, on the next show, cue up a couple
I
of...
wonder what James' music taste is. I have no idea what James Niggemeyer listens to.
Probably.
I don't see him being a headbanger.
No, country top 40.
I don't see him being a country guy, even though he is
smiling.
Texas and he's got a cowboy boot in the background. I don't see top 40.
What else?
I think he might have. I think he's got a little bit of maybe some gospel in there.
All right, let's bring him in. James, you there, man?
I'm here.
All right, so give us the scoop. What is the musical taste?
Man, it ranges. I'm kind of all over the board. I guess it matters on what's going on. If I want to something energetic, something good, like Andy Mineo. And let's see, maybe Tadashi. Those are actually, believe it or not,
Takashi.
They're Tadashi. Oh. These are rappers. And but if I want something more relaxed, I like to listen to like Hillsong United or something like that. So you're probably like, what? Yeah,
I'm 0 for 3 on any of those.
That's pitiful, Matthew. Were you? How about Aretha Franklin? An Aretha Franklin fan at all?
Well, I mean, who hasn't heard that song R-E-S-P-E-C-T?
Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's fine. Yeah.
All right, man. Great job last week in Hot Springs, and I want to hit you right off the bat. And Matt and I kind of got into a little bit of the discussion, but obviously hard work went into play. A ton of work. You had to put yourself in the right place at the right time. But seriously, dude, how much did luck play into it this year?
Luck played into my finishing runner-up second place?
Yeah.
No, just as a whole, though.
Well, no, I'm talking about him personally.
Oh, okay.
So that tournament in particular?
Yeah.
That's a great question. I don't know. I had a conversation with Mark Davis and Ken Duke. And he asked me a while ago, we were sitting there at a Strike King Writers Conference, and he said, how much luck do you think's involved? And I said, probably now, not as much as, less now than ever. And he said, Mark, what do you think? Mark said, more now than ever. And I was like, what? And he said, yeah, think about it. The level of competition is so stiff, and it's so even across the board almost, that you have, things have to go right. You have to have, like, I had a 4-pounder the first day. That, whatever you want to call it, was a huge blessing. The big part of the reason I had 12 pounds the first day and sat in 5th after day 1. So, those types of things. And okay, at about 10:30, I was thinking about running up the river to flip wood because I caught a big one in practice. And I was literally running up the river. And I thought, no, I got to go give that area that, I had a couple top water bites in practice. I got to go give that a shot. Did a U-turn in the middle of the lake and ran over there. I was just about to run up the river, and I just decided to change. So, there's so many different places where you're thinking, do this differently, do that differently, and it could end up anyway. I don't know. That's one of those things that people, you don't, like, people say, does scent work? I really can't prove it, but I definitely think it plays a factor. Hard to answer that question.
All right, kind of a seasoned vet in this game. Do you like the grinds like that, James?
Yeah, if you look at my tournament history, tournaments that are tougher, generally, or let's just say from just a regular type tournament where 15 to 18 pounds is a good bag or a great bag, to your tougher type events, I generally do better on those than the flat out slugfest. And I've caught them in a couple of slugfests. But as a whole, I do like a little bit of tougher tournament.
Did you have the big weights and a punch and stuff? Because, you'd won a tournament on Ouachita in 2005, the BFL Regional, which, by the way, if you're going to win a tournament, the BFL Regional pays ridiculous. It's like $60,000. You get like a truck and boat and cash. You get to go to like the All-American. The BFL Regional is one of the... Yeah. Anyway, that's a different story. But... it seemed like it fished completely different then, because I went back and I read the article from when you won then, and it was like punching grass and hydrilla and stuff back then.
Yes, it's totally different now, obviously. Though I did devote quite a bit of 1 day of practice. There's a lot of grass, probably more now than in a long time. Of course, I hadn't been in Ouachita in years, but there's a lot of grass that say you can just see the tips of it in 5 to 6. And then I found some grass as deep as like 18, 19, and it would be like 4 and 5 feet growing off the bottom in like, 17 to 19. And I tried to catch them out of that with heavier weights, flipping, soft plastics and different things like that. I never had a bite doing that, but I really thought that was going to be the dark horse. I thought that was going to be one of those things where you could catch really big weights and blow and just walk off with the thing, but it never happened.
Talk about that final day. And, going into it, all the guys in the media had said, I mean, the big thing going in was anybody in the top 10 has a chance to win this thing. And then, talk about how the day unfolded. You had some good bites, but then did you have any idea what Clint had when you coming into the stage, or was it not until he put him on the scales that you were like, oh, wow?
So I was sitting behind the stage, and we had all those live well tanks or whatever you want to. And we're sitting there in chairs, and so I talked to everybody in the top 4: Zach Burge, Wes Logan, and Nick, and I was kind of looking down the line and trying to, not really. I just figured I had a decent last day. I was hoping to kind of stay where I was at, but then the longer we sat there, I kept thinking, well, just kind of doing a little rough math, and I thought, man, maybe I may have a chance to win this thing. So then they're about to call us out one by one to come out on stage and take our seats in the Ranger boats, and here we are, and I go, am I going to win this? Like literally, I'm going, oh my gosh, I could win this, and I turn to Jason Lambert and I say, did anyone catch a hammer sack today? And he goes, yes. He goes, actually, Clint Davis has caught like 17 pounds. And at first when he said that, I'm like, dude, you're so lying. And because, 17, if he would have said 14, that would have been, or 13, that would have been a hammer sack. And he says 17, and I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, Cody Meyer looked in his bag, says, no way he doesn't have 17. And he had almost 18. And so at that point, I was like, it's over. Hopefully I just hang where I was at the start of the day. But I still, at that point, I was still, no regret. I did everything I could. There's nothing I could do differently that wouldn't just be like short of committing competitive suicide and just going off on some random tangent trying to do something like pulling out a big whip bait or something. I just did everything that I could. Just caught them the way I did and stayed the course and just let whatever happen.
James, was there anything during the week that you could pass along to the listeners and the viewers? Was there something that you tweaked just based upon how difficult it was? Was there something that you did to a bait? Was there something that you did to a technique? Or were you just dialed in solid and just did what you just mentioned about just sticking with what you do well?
I don't know that I did any tweaking at all. And really, honestly, the first day, I was still piecing it together. I wasn't quite sure. I literally had like 5 keeper bites in all of practice. When I'd get a bite in an area, I'd move. So I didn't really know what I was getting into. I just knew it was going to be really tough. And if you had 5, you'd be great. But I think covering a lot of water and not being sidetracked to spend some time. Like I know a lot of guys play both sides of the fence. They went shallow and they fished deep, or they caught schooling fish and then they ran to the bank, or they caught schooling fish and then they went out. I just kind of stayed, like I would throw at a schooling fish if it happened right in front of me, but other than that, I just stayed the course. I stayed, on the bank, trolling motor anywhere from 5, 6, or 7 on the dial, and just kept going and going and going and going and going, and really kind of just adopted a hard-headed approach just to, hey, I know this is the best way to get a bite for me, and I'm just going to run this as hard and as long as I can until they say, you got to come in.
That was one of the things that, you talk about what people can learn from watching the pros is one of the things, and I think it was you that said it, James, and correct me, and I want you to kind of go a little bit more into this. You said you had to quit thinking and just fish absolutely everything and just turn off all of your game plan and everything and just almost mechanically just go down the bank and completely stop thinking about everything and just go next cast and fish. Like just put the trolling mode down and go for miles and miles, right?
That is exactly it. Because everything in us in bass fishing, you're taught to let's analyze how you caught this fish. What did it take to get, what were you doing? And you're just all you're trying to do is find a recipe to duplicate it, in typical pattern fishing form. And like the last day, for instance, I caught I caught 2 on straightaway banks, literally almost nothing on, just straightaway banks. I caught 1 in the back of a pocket and 1 on a point. Actually, two in the backs of pockets and 1 on a point. So 2 straightaway banks, 2 in the backs of pockets, and 1 on a point. And if you pull up the trolling motor because it doesn't fit the mold or fit what the pattern should be, you would miss a lot of that. You really just cover water and go. And I actually got to the point where I was like, I don't want to pull the trolling motor up, because if I do, the next fish could be 2 casts away. And so it was really just kind of like you said, turn off your head and go.
I guess everybody, you talk to guys and they all talk about, when they're in a position to win a championship event, a cup, $300,000, you don't really know how you're going to respond or act to that till you're in the moment. Talk us through a little bit about how you handled that. I know after day 2, you kind of it seemed like, behind stage, you had a realization where your eyes kind of got wide and you were like, oh, through the 186 guys after your move from the Elite Series to FLW and all this crazy stuff, and now you've got one day and you are one of the key storylines for the Forest Wood Cup. Talk a little bit about what that was like mentally.
Well, I think I was just overall just excited or pleased with the way the tournament was going, because practice was so tough. I was kind of riding up pretty high on the tour this year because I was doing well, and then we go to Kentucky Lake and I don't do well, and then we go to St. Clair and I do even worse. And I thought maybe I might fall out of the cup, and so I made the cup, and I'm like, yes, I'm like, I still stayed. I made the cup. That's awesome, and just really kind of just thankful to have made it, because last year was so tough, obviously on the Elites, and so really just kind of just a thankful outlook, just kind of like, man, I'm at the cup. Then rolling into the 3rd day, and on day 2, I only had 4 bites all day. I had like 7, but only 4 of them were keeper bites. And I was kind of trying to decipher if the bite was going away or if I had just exhausted the areas that I kept hitting. And so there's this kind of hey, I may go out and catch 2 bass or 1 bass. I really have no idea what's going on or what the end outcome is going to be. But, so you're excited, but at the same time, you're like not really thinking. You don't really know where to set your hopes or expectations, because the fishing's just so tough. Every fish you catch is like, I caught like a just over 13-inch spot, and I held that thing up. I was like championing that thing. I was like, anything you got, you were just happy to have. And so I think that really helped kind of curb any kind of like jitters or anything. But I will say that once we got back to the arena or on the drive back, it really started to hit me. I was like, my stomach was just all messed up, and I was like, oh my gosh, this could really happen. I mean, like I could really win the Forest Wood Cup. And basically it kind of just catching 4 the second day and not sure exactly what was going to happen on day 3. I was just happy to be there, just to have the opportunity, like a lot of guys say on tour, go into the final day with a chance or within shot of winning a major title like that. That's all you could ever ask for. And I think that's so true, because we all want to just go, I say, hey man, I did it. I won. I did what I needed to do and all that. But there's so much of this that's out of our control. We want to think we can control this thing, but man, it's sometimes you just got to go out and do the best you can and let it all happen, let it all fall where it is,
All right, I want to go to the instant feedback. Mark has a question about on day 2, and I don't know about this, so I'm just going to kind of rephrase his question. I guess you had some success using a topwater, a sexy dog, and I guess that was on live and people saw you have some success with that. Can you talk about that a little bit?
So yeah, I was throwing the buzzbait, and I had 3 in the live well, and the morning was going really well. I mean, the day before I had only like 2 fish by 11, and by 9:30 I had 3 in the live well, and I'm thinking, man, this is great. You know, couldn't be happier. Anyways, I'm going down this one bank, and I look over, and I'm like, that bank looks good. And this one just really started to flatten out. If there was one common denominator, you wanted some depth to the banks. Once it starts to flatten out, I just hardly ever got a bite. So this one started to flatten out, and I was looking over at the other bank, and it looked steep, so I was going to idle across. And as I just turned on the key, put it in gear, and about 25 feet out in front of my boat, the shad just starts to come up. You know, it starts dimpling little V-wakes on the surface. I'm like, something's pushing that. I kill the motor. My camera was sitting on the front deck. I just jump right by him. I pick up a Strike King Sexy Dog, and I fire it over to where the shad are starting to dimple up on the surface, and start walking it, and one just eats it. It was magical. I mean, it was truly like, that was a gift fish. And I reel it in and put it in the boat, and at this point I've got 4, and I couldn't be walking any taller at that point. It was pretty cool, because it was a Strike King Sexy Dog Junior, and I believe it's called Clear Sexy Shad. I actually got that bait right here.
Let's see.
It's really kind of a translucent color, but it's got that sexy shad hue to it. It's the smaller one. It's great little bait, makes a lot of, it's got the rattle inside it, and threw it right in there, and the fish ate it. What's funny about that is Washita schooling fish, I think, are probably as tough as anywhere around to catch. That clear water, they're just so keyed on the bait size. So, I mean, the fact that worked was pretty special.
Cool. And then the other question that he had, you made the switch over to Mercury. Can you give him any kind of insight on how your outboard has been performing for you for this season compared to last year?
It's performing really well. I think I had one little hiccup in the service trucks. Were able to fix that, no problem. And I mean, as far as like tournament competition, running just great. I had a long history with Mercury, and then it's good to be back. Yeah, it's and now obviously. So I ran on Optimax for years and years and years, and then stepped away for a while, and then now I'm back. And then, of course, next year they're got the brand new V8, so that's pretty exciting to see what that's all about.
Yeah. James, do you think you're at a place now, being on the FLW Tour, that you could see yourself being for quite some time?
Yes. Yeah. People have asked me, what do you think? Give me your thoughts. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Aside from having a much better season, a much better year, and everything, even before making the Cup, I've just really enjoyed it. I've got a lot of friends, a lot of that I obviously have known over the years, and making some new ones, and I've really enjoyed it. And we all talk about having, making it fun again, and getting back to having fun. There's a lot of that I really feel like makes plays a big part of this fishing game. I think Clint Davis said it at the press conference. He said, if you aren't excited to go out there, if you're not having fun, you're not excited to get back out there, it's just so hard to compete at this level. And I was excited to get back. And of course, the first tournament of the year, I finished in the top 30 at Okeechobee, had a lot of fun there, and that kind of just set the tone. I was like, man, this is fun again. And so it kind of just started off the year on a good foot. It was good.
Who's one guy that you were impressed with this year on the FLW Tour that maybe you didn't know, maybe you became friends with, maybe you didn't realize how good he was, maybe you didn't realize he had such a great personality before, but was there anyone that you were just like, dude, this guy has it going on and I didn't realize it?
There's a lot of guys that kind of fly under the radar. Obviously, so over at the Elite Series, before we both came over the same year, David Williams and I, we kind of got to know each other. I got to know him just because we would go to the Focus, the Fellowship of Christian Anglers meeting, and I got to know him there, he and his wife, and he's got a little boy. And then as we were kind of not sure what was going to happen moving into 2019, we were on the phone a lot with each other. And then he camps and so do I, so we really got to know each other. And, I mean, dude, just a hammer. That guy, like, him everywhere he goes. And And yeah, so he's a guy that getting to know really well, really like him, and obviously everybody knows Brian Thrift's just phenomenal. But I guess because I wasn't over here on the FLW side, I really didn't take, a big look at that. You can't not know who, you can't not know his track record.
Right.
But just thinking about that record of consecutive 5-fish limits, and then you go into a tough tournament like Washington, it's no different. He's bringing 5 every day. I mean, it just impresses the heck out of me how good he is. I mean, he's talented, seriously talented.
All right, on the instant feedback, Dennis in Illinois wants to know, what do you think about going back next year in 2019 to Hot Springs?
Or 2019 next year, yeah. So much, everything changes every year. No matter what lake you go to, you could win a tournament on one body of water, and everything could set up just right. And those lakes are, to me, I think they're like a living organism in and of itself. Places that were awesome the year before, same conditions, you just can't even get a bite there. So I just try to keep an open mind about all that, but absolutely would love to go back to Hot Springs, Lake Washita, of course. But whether it has any bearing on doing well, I don't think so. It's just the nature of the game we play. It seems like every time you go back to the same place, even the exact same week, same month, everything, and things are different. Somebody catches them a new way, and you got to keep an open mind.
All right, James. Matt accuses me all the time of being negative.
I don't accuse you. I just point out because it's a fact.
He's like, man, you're all about the negative. But I would like to know, and I think the listeners and the viewers would appreciate the fact that the lack of performance that you had on the Elite Series and coming over to the FLW Tour, what is one or a couple of things that you took from your lack of success to be able to maybe change things, or from an experience standpoint, what did you learn from that, from a performance standpoint, that is actually helping you from that point forward, James?
Man, this is one of those questions people ask when you have a good year, and you're like, what they say, what did you do differently?
Yeah.
And this, nobody wants to hear this answer. I didn't do anything differently.
Really?
If I did anything differently, and if there's anything that I took and that used towards making this year better than the last year or the last couple years on the Elite Series, it's really getting back to it being fun, but also relaxing someone. Because so much of the time, if you watch Tommy Boy and he's sitting there in that cafe with the biscuit, he's like, you want so much to do well, you just ruin it. You don't give yourself the opportunity. You're trying to force that square peg in a round hole, and it just doesn't work like that. There's a part of this you have to let happen. I mean, last year on the Elite Series, I practiced for almost every event, literally like 2, 3, 4 days at almost every venue. I think I missed 2 last year. I did the scouting, I spent the time, I did the work, I spent a lot of time away from home, my family, everything. I did everything I could because I knew I was close, because I had a couple bad years in a row. Yeah. And I was like, man, my idea was, if I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that I stay, and if it doesn't happen, then I'll know that I did everything I could to stay here on the Elite Series. And it didn't work out. And you know how much I pre-practiced this year? I spent 2 days on Lake Washita.
Wow.
That's it. I mean, so you tell me. I mean, I don't know. It's. I mean, I talked to Takahiro. Takahiro had that phenomenal year, 2 years ago, and then the next year. I mean, last year is terrible. He comes out of the gates this year. Takahiro and I are big buddies, and we talk all the time. And this year he comes out and wins. Not Murray, Martin, right out of the gate.
First thing.
Mean, gosh, it's
and then led grand after the first day.
Yeah. And so there's a part of this game, and I think that's what makes the guys that are so consistent day after day, year after year, tournament after tournament, your Thrifts, your Van Dams, like Palaniuk. I mean, he didn't used to be that consistent. Now he just catches them everywhere he goes. There's so many of those guys that are so consistent that I think the consistency is the thing that we should really champion. I mean, everybody loves a winner, but this game is such that it is so hard to stay consistent and to do well year after. There's things going on professionally, there's things going on in your personal life that just all factor into it. And the way you deal with it mentally and in every other way, that's I think that's where, man, I really hold in high regard the guys that are that consistent.
Well, one of the things we talked about, and I know you will never talk about this because there's a whole section of pros who never talk about lost fish just because it's part of the game and it happens and stuff. But I remember, and I'm correct me if it was wrong, but it was you who said, towards the end of the year, you're looking back at the cuts and you're like, Matt, I have had a fish up to the boat or on or jumped off every single tournament this year that would have either got me in the cut or got me in the top 12. That was you, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to remember what year that was, but you and I were talking quite a bit about that very thing, and I remember that year was extremely frustrating, and what makes that happen? I don't really know. I mean, that's such a strange thing. You see people go through it all the time, where they're just like, man, I had that fish on, or.
You were to the point when we were talking where you told me that you, like, when you set the hook, you would be going, please don't be a big one, because you didn't want to have to fight it and have the chance to lose it. You just wanted to be able to get it in the boat. I remember having that conversation because I've been through that in my own where I'm like, I just need something that I can just crank in and boat flip. I don't need none of this jump and fight and crap going on when you're in a bad streak like that.
Yeah, no, I don't know that I said please don't let it be a big one, but like immediately when you set the hook, you think, stay on, let me get this one in the butt. I mean, seriously, yeah, I do remember like the whole period when that was going on where you just thought, as soon as you hooked up, you were like, you had to fight off the thought of losing him. And you're like, why is this even, why am I even having that thought in my head? It shouldn't even be there. It should always be, I don't know why I would even lose it. That's the way it should be. But you were at the point where you're like, man, I don't know that I'll get this one in. You know what I mean? It's just crazy.
But then this year it was, oh, there he is. Got him. Right?
Yeah.
And he's out there doing cartwheels and wrapped around logs and on 6-pound test. And you're like, look at that rascal trying to get away. Fat chance.
I got him. Yeah, it's so funny. And I do think a lot of that, I think, Matt, you and I talked about that. A lot of that's just so mental. I mean, you're just different mental standpoint where you're thinking about something that it's like the thing that you think about so much that it actually you make it happen. You fixate on it. And so that what you set your mind on, man, it just really it comes to fruition. It's crazy.
Manifest your reality.
All right.
Cool. That's the psychology.
Wow. That's deep there, Matthew. Very deep. All right, James, what are you going to do during the off season? Any plans? What do you got going on?
Man, I've been kicking around the idea of going out to fish the U.S. Open. I haven't been there since 2004. I would love to go back and fish the U.S. Open. I got a friend in San Diego, and he's been kind of like, he's been like, man, are you going to come out and fish the U.S. Open? He fished co-angler on the FLW Tour this year. We had a blast together. He stayed with me in my camper, and so I'm kind of kicking that around. But also, another friend of mine from California, he's like, man, I want to go redfish fishing, catch those big bull reds out in Venice. And I've only been there one time. But I'm also one guy that talk about friendships, new friendships. Tyler Stewart made the Cup this year. Young guy, like 20-something. He and his dad actually hired me on a guide trip when I think he was like in high school, and it was like 2011. Anyways, we've been really rekindling that acquaintance, and now we're friends and talk all the time. And he's been down to Venice, and he said like he went down there in like a day and a half and caught 150 bass flipping reeds. I'm like, I got to get a piece of that. I mean, I really. So maybe that's in it. But one thing that I've been telling my son that I do forever and ever and ever is that we would pick up hunting. And I think this is the fall. I'll try to go do a hunter safety course. My dad didn't hunt, so I don't hunt, but I have friends that hunt, and so do a hunter safety course and just go out and try to do a little hunting. Like next Saturday, I'm going to do the concealed carry handgun license, so that's cool. My wife and I will do that, and just getting ready to sell my boat and order a new one and get everything going. And it seems like so much of the time when you're on tour, you've got all this stuff that you just lay on the back burner that you never do during the course of the year because it's just not raised high enough in the priority level. Like my garage is in shambles and I got to get to that. So, but there will definitely be some fun fishing for sure. Especially my son, he's just now throwing a bait caster and those types of things, but working to get some stuff. Oh, there's a striking writers conference that I'll go to. So a lot of different things that are on, and my wife she just laughs. She's like, the off season? She's like, you don't have anything on that calendar, but just wait. It'll just get filled up. The next thing you know, it'll be Christmas and you'll be getting ready to do it all over again.
All right, very cool. We're going to be in Vegas once again for the U.S. Open, and he actually is going to fish in it this year. So that's a great venue, great trip, and hopefully you can make it out there, man. We'll see you out there.
I hope you do. It's one of those ones where when you catch 10 pounds, you know you got them. And that's what I love. I like the derbies.
Absolutely. All right, man. Great job this year, and I'm sure you're fired up about the schedule on the FLW side for next year. It's a great schedule, and
it is.
I'm sure you're going to be right there in the thick of things again. So great job at the Cup this year, and thanks for taking time out, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, it was a huge blessing, and definitely looking forward to that schedule next year. Looks great.
All right, man. Take care.
Thank you, guys.
All right. See ya.
See ya.
All right, there you have it, James Niggemeyer, and good dude, man.
Yeah, it was cool back there. I mean, you look at there's a lot of guys who are pulling for Clint Davis. A lot of buddies there in Alabama. Russ Lane, one of his buddies, I guess they call him Mega. I wasn't aware of that, but he's got an interesting story as far as when he was on the Elite Series and came over and didn't cash many checks on the Elite Series, sold his boat, literally sold his tackle to all of his friends.
Yeah.
Was done. Bill Taylor called him. He ended up getting back in it. Got young kids, came out of nowhere, super nice guy, and then a lot of people were pulling for James too. I don't think James has anybody but friends on the Elite Series and the FLW Tour. Very well respected in the professional bass. Like if you were top to name, would you say the top 3 well-liked anglers?
By everybody.
By everybody?
Yeah.
James is easy top 3.
Yeah, I don't think he has any enemies.
No.
0.
I mean, his on-the-water confrontation stories consist of, he maybe, drove past someone at 70 one time.
Wow. All right, folks, we will be back on Tuesday. Matthew will be busy setting up our guests for Tuesday morning.
When do I fly out to
Wednesday?
New York?
Wednesday?
No, I'll be on the water Wednesday. I fly out on Tuesday.
I guess we'll have to check on that. All right, so check out the website for the next show. I will say this, next week's going to be a very, very interesting week. Wow.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Very interesting. There's some stuff even on the instant feedback already. I'm not gonna comment on it. Like I said, we will talk about it once.
Have fun teaching today.
We have some meat. I am, man. Very excited.
Have fun. Enjoy it.
All right, everybody. So check the schedule. We will have our next show listed on the website.
It'll be next week sometime. Maybe.
Right. Maybe.
No, it'll either be at the St. Lawrence
or Tuesday
or before I leave for the St. Lawrence.
Yeah.
But it'll most likely be at the St. Lawrence because I think I'm have to fly in. You've got me flying into Albany.
Yeah, long
then
story.
renting a car. Then I got to drive and pick Dave up. Then we got to drive.
Long story.
It's a lot of driving and picking up involved.
Yes. All right, everybody. Next week, big week in the world of bass fishing. We will see what goes down. Everybody stay tuned. Be safe.